The pantheon of Celtic deities is a rich tapestry of gods and goddesses, each with their own unique powers, personalities, and stories. From the all-encompassing mother goddess Danu to the cunning and mischievous Lugh, the deities of the Celtic world are as diverse and multifaceted as the people who worship them. At the heart of this pantheon is a sense of interconnectivity, a belief that every aspect of the natural world is infused with divinity and that the gods and goddesses are intimately bound up with the cycles of the seasons and the rhythms of life and death. This connection is reflected in the many tales of divine intervention, where the gods and goddesses play a pivotal role in human affairs, whether it be aiding their followers in battle or guiding them on a spiritual journey. But the Celtic deities are more than just a collection of mythological figures, they are symbols of the cultural and spiritual values of the Celtic people. They embody bravery, wisdom, and cunning, as well as the complex emotions and struggles that define the human experience. Through their stories and rituals, the deities of the Celtic world continue to inspire and guide those who seek to connect with the natural world and the wisdom of the ancients. The pantheon of Celtic deities is rich and varied, with numerous gods and goddesses who play important roles in the stories and beliefs of the ancient Celts. From the mighty and fearsome god of thunder to the gentle goddess of the harvest, the deities of the Celtic world are a diverse and intriguing group, each with their own unique personality and mythological function. Some of the most well-known Celtic gods include Dagda, the god of the earth and fertility, who is often depicted with his magical cauldron and powerful club; Lugh, the god of light, who is associated with the sun and skilled in all arts and crafts; and Cernunnos, the god of the forest and wild animals, who is often depicted with antlers and is sometimes referred to as the Lord of the Animals. Goddesses also play an important role in the Celtic pantheon, such as Danu, the mother goddess who is associated with the land and rivers; Brigid, the goddess of the hearth, poetry, and healing; and Macha, the goddess of war and fertility. Other notable goddesses include Epona, the goddess of horses; Rhiannon, the goddess of horses and the moon; and Arian Rhode, the goddess of the stars and the wheel of the year. Each deity has their own unique stories and attributes, and their roles in the world of the ancient Celts varied greatly. Some were associated with specific elements or aspects of nature, while others represented more abstract concepts such as wisdom, death, or fate. Lugh, the god of sun and justice. Lugh was a god of many talents, a master of multiple crafts and an expert in combat. He was known as the god of the sun, but he was also associated with lightning, thunder, and storms. He was celebrated in the Celtic world for his bravery, strength, and intelligence. Lugh was said to be the son of the god Cian and the goddess Ethniu, and he was raised by a foster mother named Tailtiu. It was said that he was born with the ability to speak, and by the age of 7, he was already a master of many crafts, including metalworking, poetry, and music. He was also a skilled warrior and was said to have fought in many battles. As a god of the sun, Lugh was associated with light and warmth. It was said that he rode across the sky in a chariot, bringing light to the world. He was also associated with the harvest and was often depicted holding a sheaf of wheat or corn. Lugh was also known for his intelligence and wisdom. He was said to have been the mastermind behind the defeat of the Fomorians, a race of dark, evil beings that threatened the world of the gods. Lugh devised a plan that allowed the Tuatha Dé Danann, the race of gods to which he belonged, to defeat the Fomorians and drive them from the land. In addition to his skills as a craftsman and warrior, Lugh was also celebrated as a poet and musician. It was said that he was able to sing and play many instruments at the same time, creating beautiful and complex melodies that no other musician could replicate. As the god of art and craft, Lugh was known for his skill in many areas, such as metalworking, woodworking, and poetry. He was said to have created the famous Spear of Lugh, which was said to be able to pierce any shield or armor. He was also said to have invented the game of chess, and was a master at playing it. In his role as a warrior, Lugh was a fierce and formidable opponent. He was often depicted wielding a spear or sword, and was said to be unbeatable in battle. He was also known for his strategic mind, and was often called upon to advise other gods and mortals in times of war. As the god of justice, Lugh was a fair and impartial judge. He was said to be able to see through lies and deceit, and was known for his ability to dispense justice without fear or favor. He was often called upon to settle disputes between gods and mortals, and was highly respected for his wisdom and impartiality. Despite his many talents and achievements, Lugh was also a tragic figure. He was said to have been betrayed and killed by his own people, the Tuatha De Danann, who believed he had become too powerful and threatened their own authority. Lufa's death was mourned by all who knew him, and he was remembered as one of the greatest and most beloved of all the Celtic gods. Morrigan, the goddesses of death. Morrigan, the goddess of fate, death, and war, was one of the most fearsome and powerful deities in the Celtic pantheon. She was known by many names, including the Great Queen, the Phantom Queen, and the Battle Crow. Some legends even suggested that she could take on the form of a crow or raven. Morrigan was often depicted as a beautiful woman, but with a dark and mysterious air about her. She was said to possess immense power and knowledge, and could shape-shift at will. Her role was multifaceted, but she was primarily associated with war and conflict, and would often appear on the battlefield to inspire or curse warriors depending on whether she favored them or not. In addition to her association with war, Morrigan was also a goddess of fate and death. She was believed to be present at the moment of death for many warriors, and would sometimes even deliver the fatal blow herself. However, her role in death was not always negative. She was also seen as a goddess of transformation and renewal, as death could be a necessary part of the cycle of life. Morrigan's attributes were many. She was often depicted with a shield and spear, ready for battle, and sometimes with a cauldron, a symbol of transformation and rebirth. Her connection to fate and prophecy was represented by her association with crows and ravens, which were believed to be messengers from the other world. The Morrigan was a complex goddess, known for her many different roles and aspects. She was often associated with battle, strife, and fate, and was seen as a powerful force to be reckoned with. One of her most famous roles was that of a washerwoman. It was said that before a great battle, she would appear at a river or stream and begin washing the clothes of those who were about to die in the upcoming conflict. Those who saw her were warned that their fate was sealed and that they would soon join the ranks of the dead. The Morrigan was also known as a shapeshifter. She was said to be able to transform into a crow, a wolf, or other animals, and would use this ability to spy on her enemies or to aid her allies in battle. In some stories, the Morrigan was said to be one of three sisters, along with Bab and Macha, who were collectively known as the Three Morrigna, or the Three Fates. Together, they were believed to control the destinies of men and could foretell the future. Despite her reputation as a bringer of death and destruction, the Morrigan was also associated with fertility and sovereignty. She was seen as a protector of the land and its people, and was often invoked by kings and queens to ensure their success in battle and in the governance of their realms. In artwork and depictions, the Morrigan is often shown wearing a cloak of black feathers, with a hood covering her face. She is also sometimes depicted with a spear or a sword, symbolizing her connection to battle and conflict. Overall, the Morrigan was a complex and multifaceted goddess, with many different roles and aspects. She was both feared and revered by the ancient Celts, and her influence can still be felt in modern-day Ireland and beyond. Cernunnos, the god of hunt and wilderness. Cernunnos was a god of many things: the wilderness, fertility, the hunt, and more. He was often depicted as a powerful and imposing figure, with antlers sprouting from his head like the branches of a tree. He was a god of the earth, of the forests and the fields, and of the animals that lived within them. Cernunnos was a god of abundance and prosperity, and it was said that his presence could bring good fortune and wealth to those who honored him. He was often associated with the harvest, and was believed to have the power to ensure a bountiful crop. But Cernunnos was also a god of the wild, and his connection to the untamed wilderness made him a figure of great power and mystery. He was often depicted with animals, and it was said that he could communicate with them and understand their language. He was also a god of the hunt, and it was believed that he could track and hunt any animal with ease. Despite his fearsome reputation, Cernunnos was also a god of peace and harmony. It was said that he could calm the wildest of beasts, and that his presence could bring an end to even the most bitter conflicts. In many ways, Cernunnos embodied the contradictions and complexities of nature itself. He was a god of both the fertile earth and the wild wilderness, of both the hunt and the harvest. He was a powerful and enigmatic figure, inspiring both fear and awe in all who encountered him. And yet, despite his power and his might, Cernunnos remained a mysterious and elusive god, whose true nature and intentions were never fully understood by mortal men. But for those who honored him and respected the wild places he called home, he was a god of great importance, a symbol of the power and majesty of the natural world. Cernunnos is often portrayed in Celtic mythology as a horned deity, sometimes with the head of a stag or bull. He is associated with fertility, the forest, and animals, and is often depicted sitting cross-legged or standing with one foot raised on a stone, holding a torque or horned serpent in one hand and a ram-headed serpent or other animal in the other. Cernunnos is also associated with the cycle of life and death, and is sometimes depicted with a torque around his neck or holding one in his hand, symbolizing the eternal cycle of the seasons and the natural world. He is also associated with the underworld, and is sometimes depicted with antlers or horns on his head, representing his power over life and death. Other attributes of Cernunnos include the cauldron, which represents the transformative power of creation and rebirth, and the sword or spear, which represents the power of the warrior and the hunt. He is also associated with the oak tree, which represents strength and endurance, and the mistletoe, which was believed to have healing and magical powers. Brigid, the goddess of nature. In the ancient Celtic world, there was a goddess named Brigid. She was a powerful and influential deity, known for her many roles and abilities. Brigid was a triple goddess, revered as a goddess of fire, poetry, healing, and fertility. As the goddess of fire, Brigid was associated with the sun and represented the power of transformation and change. She was often depicted carrying a flaming torch, which symbolized the light of knowledge and inspiration. In this role, Brigid was seen as a protector of the hearth and home, as well as a powerful force of nature. As the goddess of poetry, Brigid was considered a patron of the arts and creativity. She was believed to inspire bards and poets, and her influence could be felt in the songs and stories they created. It was said that Brigid's very breath could bring inspiration, and that she could speak with the eloquence of a poet. As the goddess of healing, Brigid was associated with natural springs and wells. She was believed to have the power to cure illness and to bring health and vitality to those in need. Her healing powers were said to be so strong that even the most difficult of maladies could be cured by invoking her name. Finally, as the goddess of fertility, Brigid was associated with the arrival of spring and the renewal of life. She was seen as a protector of women in childbirth, and her blessings were sought for healthy pregnancies and easy deliveries. Brigid's influence was felt throughout the Celtic world, where her name was revered and her power was respected. Her attributes were woven into the fabric of everyday life, and her presence was felt in everything from the warmth of the hearth to the beauty of poetry and song. Though the ancient Celtic world has long since passed, Brigid's legacy endures, a testament to the power and enduring influence of one of the greatest goddesses of the Celtic pantheon. Brigid was often depicted as a triple goddess, embodying three aspects of womanhood: the young maiden, the nurturing mother, and the wise crone. She was also associated with fertility, childbirth, and the arts, particularly poetry and blacksmithing. Her symbols included the flame, the sun, the hearth, and the cauldron, all of which represented her powers of transformation and creation. In art, Brigid was often shown carrying a flame or a torch, representing the fire of inspiration and the transformative power of her divine light. She was sometimes depicted with a blacksmith's hammer, linking her to the creation of physical objects and the transformative power of the forge. Brigid was also often shown with a cauldron, which symbolized the regenerative power of the womb and the transformative power of her divine feminine energy. Her association with the arts, particularly poetry, was a significant aspect of her character. She was believed to inspire bards and poets, who would invoke her name to gain inspiration and clarity in their work. In some stories, Brigid is credited with inventing the Ogham alphabet, a system of writing used in ancient Ireland. Brigid is also a prominent figure in Christian tradition. Saint Brigid was born in Ireland in the 5th century and is considered one of the patron saints of the country. According to legend, she was the daughter of a pagan chieftain and a Christian slave, and grew up to become a nun and founder of several monasteries. Saint Brigid is known for her compassion and generosity, as well as her healing abilities. She is said to have performed many miracles during her lifetime, including turning water into beer and multiplying food to feed the poor. Her feast day is celebrated on February 1st, which is also known as Imbolc in Celtic culture and marks the beginning of spring. In addition to her Christian veneration, Saint Brigid is also celebrated in pagan traditions as a goddess of fertility, creativity, and the arts. Her symbols include a sacred flame, a white cow, and a woven cross. St. Brigid's legacy lives on in many Celtic traditions and customs, including the annual St. Brigid's Day festival in Ireland, which includes music, storytelling, and the creation of Brigid's crosses made from rushes. Nuada, the god of sun and healing. Nuada is also known as Nuadu, Nuada, or Nuada Ergidlam, which means Nuada of the silver hand. He is the god of the sun, healing, and kingship, and he is often associated with water and the sea. Nuada is one of the Tuatha Dé Danann, a group of deities in Irish mythology. According to myth, Nuada was the first king of the Tuatha Dé Danann, and he led his people in a great battle against the Firbolg, another group of supernatural beings in Irish mythology. During the battle, Nuada lost his arm, and he was forced to relinquish his throne to Bres, a half-Fomorian king. However, Bres proved to be a tyrant, and the Tuatha Dé Danann turned to Dien Sect, the god of healing, to restore Nuada's arm. Dien Sect created a new arm for Nuada, one made of silver, which was just as powerful as his original arm. With his strength restored, Nuada led his people to victory over the Fomorians in the Second Battle of Mag Tuired. Nuada's role as a god of healing is further highlighted in his epithet, Ergidlam, which means silver hand. It is said that Nuada's silver hand had the power to heal any wound, and it was a symbol of his great authority and power. In addition to his role as a king, Nuada is also associated with the sun and with water, which were both important aspects of life in ancient Ireland. He is sometimes depicted as a figure standing on the edge of the sea, holding a sword or spear and gazing out over the horizon. Aside from his military and political roles, Nuada was also associated with healing, often working with the god of medicine, Dien Sect, to cure illnesses and injuries. In some stories, Nuada's silver arm is said to have had magical healing properties. In addition to his many attributes, Nuada was known for his wisdom and fairness, and was highly respected among the gods and the mortal population. Despite the challenges he faced as a leader, he remained steadfast in his dedication to his people and his principles. Overall, Nuada was a complex and multifaceted figure in Celtic mythology, embodying traits of a warrior, a healer, and a wise ruler. His story serves as a reminder of the important roles that leaders and protectors play in our lives, both in times of peace and in times of conflict. Epona, goddess of horses and sovereignty. Epona, the goddess of horses, was a beloved figure in Celtic mythology. Her beauty and grace were legendary, and her power over the equine world was revered. Epona was known for her kindness and gentle nature, often appearing to mortals in times of need. As the goddess of horses, Epona was often depicted with a mare or foal by her side. Her flowing hair and gentle smile conveyed a sense of peace and serenity. Epona was not just a goddess of horses, however. She was also associated with fertility, prosperity, and the land. Epona played a vital role in the lives of Celtic people who relied on horses for transportation, farming, and war. She was believed to have the power to heal sick and injured horses, and farmers would often offer prayers to Epona for a bountiful harvest. Epona was also a protector of travelers, guiding them safely on their journeys. She was associated with the Roman goddess Victoria, and as the Celtic world became more influenced by Roman culture, Epona became more widely known and respected. As a goddess of horses, Epona was often invoked by farmers and horse breeders for good fortune in their endeavors. Her association with fertility and abundance made her a popular figure for those seeking a bountiful harvest or the blessing of children. In addition to her role as a fertility goddess, Epona was also believed to have the ability to guide souls to the afterlife. This belief is thought to have been influenced by the fact that horses were often used in funeral ceremonies during the Celtic period, and Epona's association with horses made her a natural choice to guide the deceased on their journey. Despite her importance in Celtic mythology, little is known about Epona's origins. Some believe she may have been a goddess of the Gaulish Celts before the Roman conquest, while others think she may have been an amalgamation of several horse goddesses from various Celtic tribes. Regardless of her origins, Epona's legacy as a goddess of horses and protector of the land lives on in modern times. Her spirit can be felt in the thundering hooves of horses, the gentle rustle of the wind in the fields, and the kindness and compassion of those who follow in her footsteps. Aran, god of the underworld and the dead. In the world of Celtic mythology, few gods are as enigmatic as Aran, lord of the underworld. His name means silver-tongued, a reference to his mesmerizing powers of speech, which he wields to great effect in his dealings with mortals and immortals alike. Aran is a complex figure, with aspects that are both dark and light. As the ruler of An, the Welsh underworld, he is associated with death and the afterlife, but he is also a powerful god of sovereignty, responsible for the prosperity and well-being of his people. At the heart of Aran's story is his rivalry with Pul, the Prince of Dyfed. The two men meet in the forest and agree to exchange their roles for a year and a day. Pul takes on Aran's responsibilities as Lord of the Underworld, while Aran takes on Pul's role as ruler of Dyfed. During his time in the mortal realm, Aran proves himself to be a wise and just leader, winning the hearts and minds of his people with his benevolent rule. When the year and a day are up, the two men part as friends, and Aran rewards Pul for his service by giving him a magical cauldron that can bring the dead back to life. As the two rulers conversed, they came to realize that they shared many common values and beliefs. A deep bond of friendship was formed between them, and they vowed to stand by each other in times of need. But despite his many accomplishments, Aran never forgot his roots as the Lord of the Otherworld. He continued to be a revered figure in Celtic mythology, embodying the complex blend of power, wisdom, and otherworldly knowledge that defined the ancient Celtic pantheon. Ain, the goddess of love. As the mist cleared and the sunlight broke through the dense forest, a beautiful woman emerged, her long hair cascading down her back like a waterfall. She was Ain, the Celtic goddess of love, fertility, and the sun. Her bright aura lit up the surrounding area, and the animals came out of their hiding places to bask in her warm embrace. Ain was known for her beauty and her irresistible charm. Men and women alike were drawn to her magnetic personality, and she was worshipped as the goddess of love and desire. She was also associated with the sun, and her power was said to bring warmth and growth to the land. As the goddess of love, Ain was the patron of all those who wished to find a partner or strengthen their relationships. Her followers would often leave offerings of flowers and fruit at her altars, hoping that she would hear their prayers and bless them with her grace. But Ain was more than just a goddess of love. She was also a protector of the land and its people. She was known to be a fierce warrior, riding into battle on her magical horse and wielding a spear made of lightning. She fought bravely to defend her people, and many believed that her power could turn the tide of any battle. Despite her fearsome reputation on the battlefield, Ain was kind and compassionate to all those who sought her help. She had a special connection to the natural world and was known to heal the sick and injured with her magical powers. But Ain's most famous attribute was her ability to bring forth the light of the sun. Every morning, as the sun rose in the sky, it was said that Ain would sing a beautiful song that would lift the sun into the heavens. This was a sacred duty that Ain took very seriously, for without the sun, the land would wither and die. As the day drew to a close and the sun began to set, Ain would bid it farewell with another song, guiding it safely down to rest in the other world. It was said that Ain's singing was so beautiful that even the stars would dance in the sky to her tune. And so Ain continued to bless the people of Ireland with her love and protection, inspiring them with her beauty and grace. For she was more than just a goddess, she was a force of nature, a living embodiment of the power and magic of the Celtic world. Belinus, the god of light and healing. In the rolling hills of ancient Gaul, there lived a god named Belinus, a bright and shining deity of the sun. He was tall and muscular, with golden hair and piercing blue eyes that shone like the sun itself. His countenance was one of warmth and generosity, and he was known to be a kind and just ruler. Belinus was the god of the sun, of light, and of healing. His power was said to bring warmth and life to the earth, and his rays were said to heal the sick and wounded. He was a god of fertility, too, and was often invoked by farmers and herders to bring good harvests and healthy flocks. As the sun god, Belinus was seen as a powerful force of nature, and many people believed that his power was responsible for the cyclical nature of the seasons. They worshipped him in great outdoor temples, often built on high hills or in groves of sacred trees, where they would bask in his warmth and offer him sacrifices of food and drink. Belinus was also a god of justice, and was known to be a fair and impartial judge. He would often mediate disputes between warring tribes or individuals, using his powers of persuasion and diplomacy to settle conflicts peacefully. He was a god of peace, too, and was often invoked by those who sought to end wars or bring an end to violence. But there was a darker side to Belinus as well. Some whispered that his rays could also bring death and destruction, and that he was a god of war as well as of healing. They told stories of battles fought under the scorching sun, of soldiers blinded by the glare of Belinus rays, and of great fires that burned across the land, destroying everything in their path. Belinus was a god of light and life, a shining beacon of hope and inspiration to all who worshipped him. His warmth and generosity were felt by all who came into his presence, and his power was revered by all who recognized the importance of the sun in sustaining life on earth. Tailtiu, the goddess of the earth and harvest. In ancient Celtic mythology, Tailtiu was a powerful goddess associated with the land and agriculture. She was often depicted as a beautiful woman with long flowing hair, radiant green eyes, and a regal presence that commanded respect and reverence. According to legend, Tailtiu was the foster mother of the god Lugh and played a significant role in the growth and prosperity of the land. She was known for her wisdom, kindness, and unyielding spirit, which inspired many to follow her lead and work together to create a better future for their people. As the goddess of agriculture, Tailtiu oversaw the growth of crops, the harvest, and the distribution of food throughout the land. She was also known as a skilled healer, using the power of the earth to cure the sick and wounded. Despite her many gifts, Tailtiu was not immune to the harsh realities of life, and she often struggled with the burdens of responsibility that came with her divine status. But she persevered, determined to do whatever it took to ensure the survival and prosperity of her people. In honor of Tailtiu, the people of Ireland held an annual festival in which they celebrated the harvest and the land. The festival was known as Lugnasad, and it was a time to give thanks for the abundance of the land and to remember the hard work of Tailtiu.